The encounter. In a galaxy far away, on a colorful planet named Viridia, life thrived in ways humans had only dreamed of. The skies shimmered with hues of pink and orange, and trees towered high, their leaves sparkling like jewels. Strange creatures roamed freely, each one more fascinating than the last. It was a beautiful yet dangerous place, where survival was a daily challenge. Jake Thompson was a human explorer. He had always been curious about the universe and its wonders. Today, he landed on Viridia to gather samples and learn about its unique environment. As he stepped out of his spaceship, he took a deep breath of the fresh, fragrant air. He could hardly believe he was here. Excitement rushed through him as he prepared his equipment. As Jake wandered deeper into the forest, he noticed how vibrant everything was. Bright flowers bloomed everywhere, and the sounds of chirping creatures filled the air. He took notes and snapped pictures, feeling like an artist capturing a masterpiece. But as he moved forward, he heard a strange noise, a faint cry that made his heart race. Following the sound, Jake pushed through thick bushes and stumbled upon a clearing. There, he saw a scene that shocked him. An alien mother, Zara, lay trapped under heavy rocks from a fallen structure. Her green skin glimmered in the sunlight, and her large eyes were filled with fear and pain. Nearby, a small alien girl, Lena, clutched a tattered toy and sobbed, unable to help her mother. Jake's heart sank. He could not just stand there and do nothing. He rushed to their side, kneeling beside Zara. "Are you okay? I'm here to help," he said, trying to comfort them. Zora looked up at him with wide eyes, surprise mixed with fear. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice shaky. "Why would you help us?" "I'm Jake," he replied. "I'm a human explorer. I want to help you. We need to get you out from under these rocks." Zora tried to move but winced in pain. "I can't. My leg is stuck." Her voice trembled as she glanced at Lena, who was still crying. Jake noticed how scared Lena looked, her big eyes searching for reassurance. "Don't worry, I'll get your mother free," Jake assured her. "Lena, can you help me? We need to move these rocks together." Lena nodded, wiping her tears away. "Okay," she said, her voice small but filled with determination. Jake and Lena began to push against the heavy stones. Sweat dripped down Jake's forehead as he strained to lift them. The rocks felt impossibly heavy, but he could not give up. Zara watched with hope in her eyes. She wanted to believe they could succeed. Just a little more. Jake encouraged as he grunted, using all his strength. Lena joined in, pushing with all her might. Together, they slowly began to move the rocks. Finally, with a loud grunt, they lifted the last stone off Zara's leg. She gasped in relief, and Jake quickly helped her sit up. "Are you all right?" he asked, concern etched on his face. Zara nodded, but her face showed the pain she felt. "Thank you," she whispered, tears of gratitude filling her eyes. "You saved my life." Just then, a loud growl echoed through the clearing. Jake's heart raced as he turned to see a massive creature emerge from the trees. Its fur was dark and matted, with sharp claws and glowing red eyes. It was clearly angry, and it did not like the intruders in its territory. "Run," Jake shouted, grabbing Lena's hand and pulling her away from the creature. Zara struggled to stand, but pain shot through her leg. "I can't move fast," she cried, panic rising in her voice. Jake gave them both a reassuring smile. "We'll get through this together. Just follow me closely and stay quiet." He slowly led the way out from behind the rocks, scanning the area for any signs of danger. As they moved through the forest, Jake kept a steady pace, always glancing back to ensure Zara could keep up. Her leg was still injured, and he worried it would slow them down. But they had no time to waste. The sun was starting to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows and making the woods even more intimidating. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the bushes nearby. Jake froze, heart pounding in his chest. He raised a hand to signal Zara and Lena to stop. They stood still, the air tense with uncertainty. The rustling grew louder, and Jake's instincts kicked in. He crouched low, ready to defend them if necessary. Then, a small creature burst from the bushes. It was no bigger than a cat, with bright blue fur and large, curious eyes. It darted past them, oblivious to the tension in the air. Jake let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. "It's just a small one," he said, relaxing a little. Zara and Lena shared a nervous laugh, grateful for the moment of lightness. But they couldn't linger. They moved deeper into the forest, Jake leading them to a narrow path that wound through the trees. "We should try to find higher ground," he suggested. "We can get a better view and figure out where to go next." They climbed carefully up the rocky terrain, Jake helping Zara as she struggled with her injured leg. Lena walked beside them, her eyes wide with wonder at the alien world around her. As they reached a small hilltop, they paused to catch their breath and take in the breathtaking view. From the top, they could see the vibrant colors of the forest stretching out below them. It was beautiful, but also frightening. Jake knew they were still in danger, and they needed a plan. "Look over there," Jake pointed to a cluster of trees in the distance. "That looks like it could lead us to safety. If we can make it to those trees, we might find a way to escape this area." Zara squinted in the fading light. "You think it's safe?" "We have to try," Jake replied. "It's our best chance." With a renewed sense of purpose, they started down the hill, moving quickly yet cautiously. As they approached the trees, a loud roar echoed behind them. The creature had found their scent again and was close. Panic surged through Jake as he pushed Zara and Lena forward. "Run," he shouted, adrenaline fueling his legs. They sprinted toward the trees, branches scratching at their skin as they rushed through the underbrush. Jake glanced back, seeing the massive creature charging after them, its claws digging into the ground with every powerful stride. "Faster," Jake urged, knowing they had to reach the safety of the trees before it caught up. Zara grunted in pain, but she pushed herself to keep moving, her maternal instinct to protect Lena driving her forward. Just as they reached the trees, Jake spotted a narrow crevice between two large trunks. "Over here," he yelled, leading them into the small opening. They squeezed through, Zara helping Lena navigate the tight space. Inside the crevice, they crouched low, trying to catch their breath. Jake's heart raced as he listened for the creature outside. He could hear it crashing through the foliage, searching for them. "We can't stay here forever," Jake whispered, glancing at Zara. "Do you think you can move more? We need to find a better hiding spot, or a way to defend ourselves." Zara nodded, determination flickering in her eyes. "I can do this. I won't let anything happen to my daughter." She took a deep breath, steadying herself. As they waited in the crevice, Jake thought about how quickly their lives had changed. Just a short while ago, he had been an explorer studying a distant planet. Now, he was a protector, fighting to save two lives. After a few tense moments, the creature's growls faded again. Jake peeked out, and when he saw the coast was clear, he motioned for them to follow him. They stepped out from the crevice, still cautious but feeling a bit more hopeful. "Let's move quietly," Jake instructed, leading them deeper into the woods. As they made their way through the trees, he noticed the environment changing. The vibrant colors of the forest were replaced with dark, dense foliage, and the air felt heavier. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a small stream. The water sparkled under the moonlight, providing a moment of peace amid the chaos. "Let's take a quick break," Jake said, crouching by the water's edge. "We need to rest and gather our strength." Zara and Lena knelt beside him, drinking from the cool, refreshing water. For a brief moment, they felt safe, the sound of the stream drowning out their fears. As they sat there, Zara turned to Jake. "Thank you for saving us. You're very brave," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. Jake smiled, feeling a warmth in his heart. "I couldn't leave you behind. You and Lena deserve to be safe." In that quiet moment, they formed a bond that would last forever. They were no longer just a human explorer and an alien mother and daughter. They were allies in a fight for survival, united by hope and courage. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. You said, a hidden refuge. As the trio rested by the stream, the sounds of the forest felt strangely comforting. The gentle rush of water and the chirping of distant creatures eased their minds, if only for a moment. But Jake knew they couldn't linger for long. The creature that had chased them was still out there, and time was not on their side. After a brief rest, Jake stood up and scanned the surroundings. "We should keep moving," he said, determination in his voice. "We need to find a safer place to hide until we can figure out our next steps." Zara nodded, her eyes full of determination despite her exhaustion. Lena, however, seemed weary, her small shoulders slumping slightly. "Mommy, I'm tired," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "We'll find somewhere safe soon, sweetie," Zara replied, giving Lena's hand a gentle squeeze. "Just a little longer." Jake led them back into the dense foliage, keeping an eye out for any signs of danger. The path was narrow and entangled, but he focused on moving swiftly. As they walked, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, a prickling sensation at the back of his neck. They came across a clearing filled with large boulders and overhanging trees, creating a natural shelter. "Let's go in there," Jake suggested, pointing to the rocky formation. It looked like it could provide some cover, at least for a while. Zara and Lena followed him into the shelter, and Jake quickly checked the area for any signs of danger. "This should keep us hidden for now," he said, feeling a little more at ease. "We can rest here and think of our next move." Inside the rocky enclave, they settled down, taking a moment to breathe. Zara examined her leg, which was still injured from the fall. "I need to bandage this somehow," she said, her voice filled with concern. Jake looked around and noticed some soft leaves nearby. "I can help," he said, quickly gathering the leaves. He fashioned a makeshift bandage, wrapping it gently around her leg. "This should help a bit. Just be careful not to strain it." "Thank you, Jake," Zara said, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You've done so much for us already." Lena watched them, her young mind trying to understand the situation. "Are we safe now?" she asked, her voice small and hopeful. "For now, yes," Jake replied, trying to reassure her. "But we have to be ready to move again if we hear anything." As the sun began to set, casting golden hues across the sky, they could see the stars beginning to twinkle above. Lena, captivated by the sight, pointed up. "Look, Mommy, the stars are so pretty." "Yes, they are," Zara said, her heart warming at her daughter's innocent delight. "They remind us that there is beauty even in dark times." Jake couldn't help but smile at their bond. It was a stark contrast to the danger that surrounded them. "I know it's scary right now, but we will get through this together," he reassured them. Just then, a rustling sound echoed from outside the shelter, causing Jake's heart to race. "Everyone, stay quiet," he whispered, pressing his back against the rocky wall, straining to hear. He peeked out cautiously, trying to discern what had caused the noise. To his relief, it was just a group of small animals, creatures that resembled rabbits but had bright purple fur. They hopped around the clearing, seemingly oblivious to the trio hiding within the rocks. Jake relaxed slightly, knowing that not everything in this world was dangerous. But as he watched the creatures play, he couldn't shake the feeling of urgency. "We need to come up with a plan," he said, turning back to Zara and Lena. "Tomorrow, we need to find a way to signal for help or locate other survivors. This planet must have more than just us." Zara nodded, her expression thoughtful. "There might be others who can help us. We can't stay hidden forever. We need to find a way back to civilization." Lena looked between them, her eyes wide with curiosity. "How do we find people?" she asked. Jake smiled, appreciating her optimism. "We can start by searching for signs of life, like smoke from a fire or the sound of voices. We just have to be careful. As the darkness deepened, the clearing transformed into a canvas of shadows, and the night sounds of the forest grew louder. Zora pulled Lena close, wrapping her arms around her daughter. "Let's get some rest," she said softly. "We'll need our strength for tomorrow." Jake settled down beside them, keeping watch. He felt a strong sense of responsibility for the two alien beings he had taken under his wing. They were vulnerable, but together they formed a unique family, bonded by their circumstances. As he watched the stars twinkle above, Jake thought about his own home on Earth. He missed it dearly, but knew he had to focus on the present. The survival of Zara and Lena depended on him now. Hours passed, and the sounds of the forest began to change. The nighttime creatures chirped and howled, but Jake remained alert, ready for anything. Eventually, the fatigue caught up with him, and he allowed himself to close his eyes for just a moment. Suddenly, a loud crash jolted him awake. Jake sprang to his feet, adrenaline surging through him. "What was that?" he asked, his voice tense. Zara sat up, her eyes wide with fear. "I don't know, but it didn't sound good." Jake looked out into the darkness, his instincts telling him they were in danger. "We need to move. Now," he urged, grabbing Zora's hand and gently pulling Lena to her feet. "Stay close to me." With fear pushing them forward, they hurried out of the rocky shelter, ready to face whatever lay ahead. They needed to find safety, and Jake was determined to protect Zara and Lena at all costs. Together, they would navigate this unknown world, fueled by hope and the strength of their bond. The hunt begins. As the first light of dawn broke through the dense canopy of trees, Jake, Zara, and Lena found themselves on high alert. The crash they had heard during the night lingered in Jake's mind, a haunting reminder that danger was always lurking nearby. They had to move quickly and find a safer location. "Let's stick together and keep quiet," Jake instructed, leading the way through the thick underbrush. The forest was alive with sounds, the rustling of leaves, the distant calls of creatures, and the occasional snap of a twig. But Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they were being hunted. Zara kept a firm grip on Lena's hand as they navigated the winding path. The little girl's eyes darted around, wide with curiosity and fear. "Do you think we'll find more people, Mommy?" Lena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I hope so, sweetie," Zara replied, her heart aching for her daughter's innocence in such a perilous situation. "But we have to be careful. We don't know who or what is out there." As they walked, Jake's mind raced with thoughts of how to signal for help. "We should look for signs of civilization," he said, glancing back at Zara and Lena. "Maybe a road, smoke, or even some structures. We need to find others like us." They pushed deeper into the forest, the foliage becoming thicker. The air was cool, and the morning mist clung to the ground, making their feet damp. After walking for a while, they stumbled upon a narrow trail that appeared to have been used recently. "This way," Jake said, excitement filling his voice. "Maybe it leads somewhere safe." The trio moved cautiously along the trail, the sounds of the forest fading into a tense silence. Every so often, Jake would pause, listening intently for any signs of danger. The feeling of being hunted still weighed heavily on him, and he wanted to ensure Zara and Lena were safe. As they walked, Lena began to lag behind, her small legs struggling to keep up. Jake noticed and knelt down beside her. "Hey, Lena, do you want to ride on my shoulders for a bit?" he offered with a gentle smile. Lena's face lit up, her fear momentarily forgotten. "Yes, please," she exclaimed, her spirit lifted. Jake hoisted her onto his shoulders, and she giggled with delight. "Look, Mommy, I can see everything," Lena shouted, pointing at the trees above. "Just hold on tight," Jake said, feeling the surge of warmth at the sight of the little girl's joy. Zara smiled too, her heart filled with gratitude for Jake's kindness. They continued along the trail, the sun rising higher in the sky. After some time, they noticed a faint plume of smoke in the distance. "Look," Jake said, pointing towards the source. "That might be a campfire. There could be people nearby." Zora's heart raced with hope. "Let's go see," she urged, her pace quickening. As they approached the smoke, they heard voices. Loud, boisterous laughter mixed with casual chatter. Jake motioned for them to be quiet. "We need to be careful. We don't know if they're friendly," he whispered, trying to keep his voice low. As they ventured into the forest, the atmosphere grew tense. The dense trees and thick underbrush created a labyrinth, each sound amplified in the stillness. Jake led the way, staying alert to any signs of danger. "Have you encountered those creatures before?" Jake asked Marcus as they walked. "Yes," Marcus replied, his expression serious. "They come from deeper in the forest. We've lost good people to them. They're strong and relentless." Jake felt a chill at Marcus's words. The thought of facing such monsters filled him with dread, but he pushed it aside. He had to be brave, for Zora and Lena. As they moved further into the woods, they came across a clearing with strange markings on the trees. Jake felt a sense of unease. "What do you think these marks mean?" he asked, pointing to the deep scratches on the bark. "They could be territorial markings," Marcus said, studying the symbols, "or a warning from other creatures. We should be cautious." Just then, a rustle in the bushes caught their attention. The group fell silent, hearts racing. Jake gripped his weapon tightly, scanning the area. Then, suddenly, a small creature burst from the underbrush. A rabbit-like animal, wide-eyed and trembling. The group let out a collective sigh of relief, laughter breaking the tension. "It's just a rabbit," one of the scouts exclaimed. But Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. As they continued their exploration, they stumbled upon a small stream. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and for a moment, they paused to drink and gather their thoughts. Jake sat on a rock, looking out at the water. He thought of Zora and Lena, the way they had fought together to survive. He wanted to protect them at all costs. "We should find a better place to hide," he said, breaking the silence. "Somewhere safe from those creatures." "Agreed," Marcus replied. "But we need to know more about where they come from. If we can find their nest, we might be able to get rid of them." The group resumed their search, venturing deeper into the forest. As they moved, they noticed more signs of the creatures. Broken branches, deep paw prints in the mud. Jake's heart pounded with each step, and he felt the weight of fear settle in his stomach. Suddenly, a blood-curdling roar echoed through the trees, making the ground tremble beneath their feet. The group froze, eyes wide with fear. What was that? Lena's voice rang in Jake's mind, a reminder of why he needed to stay strong. "That's not good," Marcus said, his voice low. "We need to get back to camp. Now." They turned, racing back toward the clearing, adrenaline pumping through their veins. As they ran, the ground shook again, and Jake felt the unmistakable presence of something massive behind them. The roar echoed again, sending chills down his spine. "We're almost there," Jake urged, glancing over his shoulder. The creature was gaining on them, its powerful strides pounding against the earth. He could see the outline now, a massive beast with sharp claws and glowing eyes, a horrifying silhouette against the trees. "Keep running," Marcus shouted, but the creature was relentless. It broke through the underbrush, lunging at them with a ferocity that took Jake's breath away. They burst into the clearing, and Jake yelled, "It's coming. Get ready." The camp members scrambled to their feet, weapons in hand, eyes wide with panic. Marcus rallied the group. "Form a line. We need to defend our home." Jake stood at the front, his heart racing as he prepared to face the beast. It was terrifying, but he couldn't let fear control him. Zora and Lena were in the camp behind him, and he would do everything to keep them safe. The creature charged, snarling, its jaws wide open. Jake gripped his weapon tightly, ready to fight for his newfound family. With the combined strength of the camp members, they faced the beast, knowing that this battle would define their survival. In that moment, Jake understood that he was not just fighting for himself, but for Zara, for Lena, and for the hope that they could all find safety together. The shadows of the past loomed behind them, but they were ready to confront the future with courage and unity. United front. The air was thick with tension as the monstrous creature lunged toward them, its eyes glowing with a fierce hunger. The camp members stood firm, hearts pounding in unison, ready to defend their home. Jake's grip tightened around his weapon, and he took a deep breath, steadying himself. He could hear Zora's voice in his mind, urging him to be brave. "Remember, aim for its weak points," Marcus shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Stay together." The creature roared again, and Jake could see its massive jaws snapping just inches away from him. He took a step forward, adrenaline surging through his veins. The beast's claws glinted in the light as it swiped at him, but he ducked just in time. The air whistled past his ear, and he felt the rush of danger all around him. "Jake, watch out," a voice cried, and he turned to see one of the camp members, a young woman named Ilara, struggling to keep the creature at bay. She was courageous, but her weapon seemed small against such a fierce opponent. Jake didn't think twice. He lunged forward, helping Ilara push against the creature. "We have to distract it," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. The creature turned its attention to them, its massive head swinging dangerously close. Jake and Ilara quickly shifted, using their weapons to strike at the beast's flank. It roared in frustration, and for a moment, they had it off balance. "Keep hitting it," Marcus shouted, rallying the group. "We can't let it break through our line." The camp members worked together, each person pushing forward with determination. Jake saw Lena and Zara standing at the edge of the camp, fear etched on their faces. "Stay back," he called to them, knowing they needed to be safe. "We've got this." With renewed strength, Jake joined Marcus, and together they aimed for the creature's legs. Each hit seemed to weaken the beast, but it was still far from defeated. The creature thrashed wildly, swiping its claws in desperation, and Jake felt a rush of fear as it caught one of the camp members, sending him sprawling to the ground. "Get up! Get up!" Marcus yelled, trying to motivate the fallen man. "We need you." Jake could feel the tide turning. They were wearing the creature down, but it was still powerful. The fight felt like it lasted forever, each moment stretching into an eternity. Sweat dripped down Jake's brow, and his muscles ached, but he couldn't give in. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed something strange. A flicker of movement in the bushes behind the creature caught his attention. He squinted, and to his shock, he saw a group of small, shimmering lights. They hovered in the air, pulsating gently. Jake recognized them. Zara had described these lights during their conversations. They were the forest spirits, beings that the local folklore spoke of. "Look," Jake shouted, pointing. "The spirits." The group turned to see the lights, and a collective gasp echoed among them. The shimmering lights moved closer, swirling around the creature in a dazzling dance. The beast paused, seemingly confused by the ethereal beings. Jake saw this as an opportunity. "Now, while it's distracted," he urged, raising his weapon. The camp members charged forward, striking at the beast with everything they had. With a final desperate roar, the creature swiped wildly, but the spirits continued to swirl, dazzling it with their glow. Jake could feel the momentum shifting, and his heart raced with hope. He raised his weapon high, determination flooding his veins. "Together," he shouted, and the group struck in unison. The sound of metal against the creature's hide echoed through the clearing, and for a moment, everything felt still. Then, with one last tremendous effort, they drove their weapons into the beast. The creature let out a final, earth-shattering roar before collapsing to the ground, its massive form crashing against the earth. The camp members stepped back, panting heavily, eyes wide with disbelief. "We did it," Ilara exclaimed, her voice shaky, but filled with triumph. Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him. They had faced the beast together and emerged victorious. But as he caught his breath, he noticed the spirits hovering nearby. They glowed brightly, swirling in a joyful dance, almost as if they were celebrating their victory. "Thank you," Jake whispered, understanding that these creatures had played a vital role in their success. The spirits flickered in response, and Jake felt a deep sense of gratitude for their help. As the dust settled, Jake turned to find Zara and Lena running toward him. They were breathless, but there was a light in their eyes. "You were amazing," Zora exclaimed, wrapping her arms around Jake. Lena joined in, beaming with pride. "I knew you could do it." Jake smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "We did it together," he said, looking around at the camp members who had fought bravely by his side. They had become a family, united in their struggle. As they began to gather around the fallen creature, discussing their next steps, Jake felt a renewed sense of hope. The battle had been fierce, but they had proven their strength. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by their courage and determination. The sun began to set, casting a golden light across the clearing. Jake knew that they were still in danger, but for now, they could celebrate their victory. Together, they would continue to protect each other, forging a path through the darkness with the strength of their newfound family. "You said, a new beginning." The sun dipped below the horizon, casting vibrant hues of orange and purple across the sky. The camp, once filled with tension and fear, now buzzed with an air of excitement. The beast lay motionless, a testament to their bravery, and the camp members gathered around it, discussing their victory and what it meant for their future. Jake stood at the edge of the group, his heart swelling with pride. He had fought alongside these brave souls, and together they had triumphed against a formidable foe. He glanced over at Zara and Lena, who were animatedly talking about their plans for the future. The spirit lights continued to hover nearby, flickering playfully as if celebrating their success. "Jake, come join us," Zara called, waving him over. He smiled and walked toward them, his heart light. As he joined the circle, he could see the excitement in everyone's eyes. "We should hold a feast tonight," Marcus suggested, his voice booming with enthusiasm. "We've earned it." Ilara nodded eagerly. "Yes, let's celebrate. We can cook some of the game we've hunted. It'll be the best feast ever." The camp members quickly set to work, gathering food and preparing a feast to honor their victory. Jake felt a sense of camaraderie as everyone worked together, laughter filling the air. The tension of the past few days began to fade, replaced by a feeling of unity. As the sun sank lower, the campfire was lit, crackling warmly as the first stars began to twinkle in the night sky. The aroma of roasted game wafted through the air, making everyone's stomachs rumble in anticipation. They gathered around the fire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. "Tonight, we celebrate not just our victory over the beast," Marcus began, raising his cup, "but also the bond we formed. We are no longer just a group of strangers. We are a family." "Family," everyone echoed, raising their cups in agreement. The warmth of the fire matched the warmth in Jake's heart. He looked around at his friends, realizing how much they had come to mean to him. As the feast began, stories flowed freely. Each person took turns recounting their favorite moments from the battle, laughter erupting as they recalled close calls and heroic deeds. Jake felt a rush of pride as he listened to his friends. They had all shown incredible courage. Zara leaned closer to him. "You were incredible, Jake. You kept everyone together, even when it felt like we were losing." Jake shrugged, feeling a bit shy under her praise. "We all did it together," he replied. "Everyone fought bravely. I couldn't have done it without all of you." The night wore on, and the stars began to shine brightly above them. As they feasted and shared stories, Jake felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. It was as if the bonds they had forged in battle had created something unbreakable. Later in the evening, as the fire crackled softly, Zara stood and clinked her cup against Jake's. "I want to make a toast," she said, her voice clear and strong. "To new beginnings. We've faced darkness together and emerged stronger. Let's promise to keep this bond alive, no matter what challenges come our way." "Cheers to that!" everyone shouted, raising their cups high into the air. As the night deepened, Jake and Zora moved slightly away from the fire, allowing the sounds of laughter to fade into the background. They gazed at the stars, their light twinkling above them. "Do you think we'll ever face something like that again?" Zara asked, her voice soft, tinged with a hint of concern. Jake stood at the edge of the group, his heart swelling with pride. He had fought alongside these brave souls, and together they had triumphed against a formidable foe. He glanced over at Zara and Lena, who were animatedly talking about their plans for the future. The spirit lights continued to hover nearby, flickering playfully as if celebrating their success. "Jake, come join us," Zara called, waving him over. He smiled and walked toward them, his heart light. As he joined the circle, he could see the excitement in everyone's eyes. "We should hold a feast tonight," Marcus suggested, his voice booming with enthusiasm. "We've earned it." Ilara nodded eagerly. "Yes, let's celebrate. We can cook some of the game we've hunted. It'll be the best feast ever." The camp members quickly set to work, gathering food and preparing a feast to honor their victory. Jake felt a sense of camaraderie as everyone worked together, laughter filling the air. The tension of the past few days began to fade, replaced by a feeling of unity. As the sun sank lower, the campfire was lit, crackling warmly as the first stars began to twinkle in the night sky. The aroma of roasted game wafted through the air, making everyone's stomachs rumble in anticipation. They gathered around the fire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. "Tonight, we celebrate not just our victory over the beast," Marcus began, raising his cup, "but also the bond we formed. We are no longer just a group of strangers. We are a family." "Family," everyone echoed, raising their cups in agreement. The warmth of the fire matched the warmth in Jake's heart. He looked around at his friends, realizing how much they had come to mean to him. As the feast began, stories flowed freely. Each person took turns recounting their favorite moments from the battle, laughter erupting as they recalled close calls and heroic deeds. Jake felt a rush of pride as he listened to his friends. They had all shown incredible courage. Zara leaned closer to him. "You were incredible, Jake. You kept everyone together, even when it felt like we were losing." Jake shrugged, feeling a bit shy under her praise. "We all did it together," he replied. "Everyone fought bravely. I couldn't have done it without all of you." The night wore on, and the stars began to shine brightly above them. As they feasted and shared stories, Jake felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. It was as if the bonds they had forged in battle had created something unbreakable. Later in the evening, as the fire crackled softly, Zara stood and clinked her cup against Jake's. "I want to make a toast," she said, her voice clear and strong. "To new beginnings. We've faced darkness together and emerged stronger. Let's promise to keep this bond alive, no matter what challenges come our way." "Cheers to that!" everyone shouted, raising their cups high into the air. As the night deepened, Jake and Zora moved slightly away from the fire, allowing the sounds of laughter to fade into the background. They gazed at the stars, their light twinkling above them. "Do you think we'll ever face something like that again?" Zara asked, her voice soft, tinged with a hint of concern.